there's a lot of lies around cannabis, and
Yeah.
you know it has stemmed from the business deal that went really badly for it over in the 30s, with Elslinger and DuPont and the cotton maker. I can't remember who that was. You told me, David, the other day. But it was a business deal, essentially. They didn't want the hemp industry taking over the cotton industry. DuPont was looking at making synthetic chemical medications, and they could see that cannabis, doctors had already been prescribing it for a long time for things like epilepsy, asthma.
Well, it's in every
asthma.
culture. Like every culture's, it's pharmaceutical. Like it's big book of stuff.
Yeah.
Always was there.
Yeah.
Even if you're like a Western guy, you still got like a little vial stuck in your thing for the flu or whatever. You know, it's kind of like it's weird how that happened.
It's a lot of lies, and you know they had a police minister or police commissioner at that stage who was quite happy to strong arm the community and go along with the ploy to get rid of.
Are you talking about the mayor of New York?
I'm not
He
sure.
was one of the guys
mayor.
who actually at the time, it probably was in the 30s, where all the information, he did his own report. He go, okay guys, get all the scientists in. I need to do a report because I need to crack this in the butt. And the report came back and it was like, no, it's really good for you. And obviously he went into the backburning stage and went,
Whoops.
can you please burn all the copies of that report?
Yeah,
please. I have my lighter right here. Just hand, just put it close to the lighter. And so it was. I think this was in the 30s in the mayor of New York. Can't actually give his any names. So actually, if any of you guys out there know, just Twitter in. Help us
I
out
don't
with
think it was
his
in
name.
the 30s, though. I think it may have been in the 60s.
That happened
70s.
with Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon also commissioned this same type of report because he was just like, well, obviously the reporting, our science is better now.
Yeah.
We can do more. Same results came back, and he just went, "Oh, crap balls!"
Nixon,
let's squish that under the carpet as well.
Nixon's research was hilarious, actually, because he was trying to get more ammunition for the war on cannabis to try to distract a lot of the population from the Vietnam War and that sort of thing.
Oh, makes sense.
So he put together this research study to prove that cannabis causes cancer. So he got all of these rats, and they were all infected with the cancer cells. And
I heard about this test. This is amazing. Listen to this guy.
He's just pumped them full of cannabis over however many weeks it was, and then they came back a few weeks later to see how bad the cannabis has got, and all of these rats have been cured of cancer, and they're like, what have we done here? And this is back in the 70s.
I do like there was another test that was done, and it's because we're speaking about tests, and I like this one. They did the same test with rats, and they just pumped them with all this stuff, and then went, look, all the rats died. And the thing is, and everyone went, oh my god, all these rats died. We've got to it must be bad. They all just died. My god, my poor rat. It was Pinky. Pinky's dead. Well, but hopefully the brain didn't die. If you know Pinky and the Brain, that's for all you cartoon addicts out there. But what they did was, they didn't give him any oxygen. They just put these masks on them that fed him just pure cannabis. There was just pure THC, no oxygen.
It was over a 5-year
and they died
period.
out of asphyxiation. But no one's looked into the actual research of what that test was about. And they went, oh no, they died because of asphyxiation. We were stupid.
And they call it cherry picking. Any of the prohibitionists, researchers out there that want to promote cannabis as a negative or a bad sort of substance will cherry pick, and they'll find studies like that and they'll use those in presentations. I mean, I've seen some professors, one just recently, present with papers and information that makes everything that's coming out of the US at the moment look like an experiment. And that it's not doing any good for people over there. He's saying it's the medical community over there who are promoting it, and there's physicians over there who are recommending it and prescribing it for patients. And yet he prefers to see it as an experiment, and it's recreational. They're saying it's a recreational users that are trying to push it through as medical. And the thing about cannabis and any sort of use of cannabis is that it has a therapeutic effect. So regardless of how you're using it or why you're using it, you're actually putting some amazing chemicals into your body, amazing botanical, non-toxic types of chemicals into your body that interact with your endocannabinoid system.
Now, I guess we should, so people get an idea of what, and how it interacts. So everyone just thinks, oh, you get stoned. hands down. Oh, come on, I can see you there. You stop eating my nachos. Hands off. But I guess what we want to know is, like, how does it interact with the body? Because when I actually looked into it, it's quite fascinating. It's kind of like, from what I know, my knowledge, is it interacts perfectly like it was almost meant to.
It does, and it's because of that endocannabinoid system. So this is a system.
So what is the system?
Yeah, well, it works within our nervous system. When you're looking at the nervous system, you have your nerve cells sort of run down one way, and within those, or between those nerve cells, it's called a synapse. I'll simplify it as much as I can, but
it's like the connector bits between where the electricity goes through the brain.
That's right, and within that are your receptors. Your CB1 receptors are found in the brain, and a few other places within the body, but mostly in the brain. And that's where all of the chemical processes take place. The endocannabinoids that we manufacture ourselves are also in there. And
so cannabinoids are a natural part of our body.
We have at least two that one is called anandamide, and it's actually excreted through breast milk in lactating mothers.
Whoa, I didn't know
that's the next trend in drugs.
That's really interesting.
So kids are getting high off breast milk.
Kids are getting really good sleeps after they have breast milk. And this is a naturally occurring chemical in our bodies. It is actually anandamide is a Sanskrit word for bliss. So it's quite a blissful sort of chemical.
So it gives you euphoria.
It helps. Well, and it helps you relax. It helps you.
Well, I guess relaxation is euphoric in itself.
And we manufacture that ourselves. I mean, along with dopamine. Dopamine's another thing in our bodies that help us do that as well. There's a few different chemicals that work away at that level. But yeah, so anandamide and the endocannabinoid system is incredibly important. And when that's not functioning well enough, we end up with disease because the cells just aren't working very well.
Because it regulates a lot of the different organs in the body. The whole endocannabinoid
it actually promotes homeostasis within our bodies. So it's responsible for our immune system, our hormone system.
So that's a big deal. Like it's not like it's just making your skin a bit brighter. No, it means it's conducting major works in your body to keep you alive.
Major works in there, and when you're deficient in making your own, there is a syndrome out there where they're looking at it as a theory that you're endocannabinoid deficient. And this is where disease takes place. Your cells aren't being manufactured well enough. They're not working well within the cells. The mitochondria and all of those chemical reactions within there aren't functioning. They're not functioning. So adding the phytocannabinoids from the plant, of which there's over 100 now, I think was the last count.
Wow.
And they all act together, those cannabinoids. You ingest those as an oil. Or as a cream, like topically as a cream on your body. There's a few different ways to get it into your body. That interacts within your endocannabinoid system, restoring your health, restoring the way that your cells work. And it works. It's a very complex chemical reaction in there. But without cannabis in our diets, we will end up continuing down this track of being unwell and disease. Proliferating through societies and communities,
Because what I when I researched it myself into it a bit, it's kind of like your body is back in the day and back in like early centuries when there wasn't as much pollution, plasticity, chemicals. It wasn't a thing where this system was being pressured as much. Yeah. But with like current society where you can't even have a shower without getting 10 different chemicals like poured on you. It's just like you're breathing it in, you're eating it in different foods. It's like this constant barrage. Supposedly, I heard that the system isn't keeping up.
That's true,
and that's why there's these issues with health and cancer and all this sort of stuff. It's because of the system's being just crushed by all these external sort of factors.
Yeah. I think it's wonderful too because I have a weight problem. I would love to know that cannabis could reset my body so that the metabolism is running well and that I lose all of this extra weight. I don't need the adiposity. I'd really enjoy actually going to my doctor and saying I'd like to have the cannabis and the strain, please. That will actually help my body kickstart back into a healthy metabolism, so that it is burning the way it should be, and that my hormones are working properly.
And do you think down the track that'll be a possibility with the studies of the different strands and all that sort of thing? They're able to scientifically make one to actually help with increased metabolism.
It's happening overseas already. Yeah,
That's really cool.
People are using it for weight loss already overseas. It's pretty cool stuff.
It's kind of counterintuitive though in a way, like, because it usually makes you just want to grab the pack of chips or something.
It does give you the munchies, yeah.
Well, I think with the different cannabinoids, they all have different effects, and they have different effects that counteract each other. Like there's even one cannabinoid that's like, when people are afraid, oh wait a second, my kid's going to get a psychosis from doing all this, there's one cannabinoid that's antipsychosis.
Yeah, it's the CBD.
So it's kind of, they work together in order for you to go to certain levels. So there's one that also it dampens that psychosis effect, because the THC obviously is going to give you that funny kind of trippy experience, where this other cannabinoid it's stuck in there to help balance that out.
And you know, THC is a wonderful component of the drug as well, of the plant, I should say, and the herb.
Yeah,
it's there for a reason. You know, there's a lot of people that do suffer from depressions that perhaps need that lift, and THC can do that for them, whether it's in an acid form or whether it's activated. So you know, it's not the devil either, and this is the thing that that police, you know, often test for on roadside. If you've got THC or THCA in your system, then that's what gets you to fine. And it's a wonderful. Have you got some more? Have you had some experience with some of your clients?
Yeah, actually. Well, one of my clients, for example, I was helping her with helping her to let go of the symptoms of the cancer through some techniques that I was using, and the thing is, she was actually looking out for cannabis oil. And she's found it so difficult because obviously the essential, like our essential nutrients and the plants and everything organic. It seems so many plants that are organic that are actually good for us. Well, we've been cut away from them and we've been fed a synthetic version. And and society is sick. Like humanity is. Like in many ways we've got so many illnesses, and as society we actually have an illness as well as a global collective as well, and I feel like the treatment of that is through plants. I mean, and she has been looking out for cannabis oil, and she's found it extremely difficult. She hasn't been able to locate it just yet. And that's it, it's been pushed underground, and it's it's
very sad because there's a lot of people that have run out of time, they've run out of options, and the healthcare professionals and the way that our Western healthcare system just there is an end to what they can provide, and because they work with the synthetics and because they work outside of the botanical areas, they have come to the end of what they can provide. I do think pharmaceutical companies are interested in looking at cannabinoids. They'd like to turn them into synthetics.
Well, they think it's going to be the next big fad, is them trying to do it. But then I also heard that synthesizing these into their own drugs is going to kill the energy formations that the plants naturally bring to it, which means that it's not really the same thing. Because I remember they took THC out and they made a drug out of THC, obviously I think it was to fight depression.
Yeah.
And what it did was, since obviously it wasn't natural, it was like a derivative form that they've mocked up, and it's synthetic, which is it's not real. It's almost like it's a genetically modified thing. It's not the real thing. It's like it looks like it. It looks like your clone, but inside it's dark and evil.
Yeah.
It's your evil twin. But and what they found was it was making people depressed. Like it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. I think it was for weight loss, to tell the truth. It was something like ridiculous, and that they'd used THC for. Everyone got depressed because it was restricting the dopamine or something that was naturally produced in their heads, and people were killing themselves.
Yeah, Marinol, I think.
Yeah, that's it. Marinol, that's the one.
There's a few different brand names for it.
And it's just this kind of thing. Well, it's like, even though you're going to start mass producing all these cannabinoids, isn't it better just to get an organic, natural strain?
It's so much better.
It is so much better.
Yes, there's the entourage effect. I mean, a lot of people have heard about the entourage effect with the cannabis plant, and that, as you were saying before, Kris, that all of these chemicals work together, and it's not just the cannabinoids in there. There's over 500 different
so if you just take this
plant.
one, you're going to be like, I'm fixing this one thing, but you don't have the balancer.
Yeah.
So then that's when you're going to get some weird side effect. Yeah.
But look, researchers and science, humans are inquisitive. And there's science there. We're going to investigate. We want to have a look, and pharmaceutical companies are doing that. They're looking, and they would like to actually change this plant into synthetic, not so wonderful medications, and that's where Australia is currently going. We're going down this track, and there's a lot of people here in Australia that don't want that. We want access to the raw plant, manufactured in a safe way, tested, so that people that are using it can actually see what's in it, and we need that now. We need our governments to be working with us on that instead of holding back, which is what they've been doing.